Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
Today marks day 17 of the partial government shutdown. With negotiations going nowhere, President Trump is looking for new ways to get his money for his border wall. I'm Mark Liverman in New York with how he hopes to do that.
And as the government shutdown drags into its third week, some local residents taking steps of their own to keep Yellowstone National Park open. Coming up, see what they're doing to keep the park clean and presentable.
I love that.
Me too.
Yes, that story in just a moment. But our story for you right now coming up here at 6:30 on your Monday morning. And of course, as we've been following this, we are now on day 17 of the partial government shutdown. Right now, negotiations are a seemingly unbreakable impasse.
President Trump looking for new ways to get money for his border wall. CBS's Mark Liverman is in New York with the details.
As the partial government shutdown enters its third week, President Trump says he may bypass Congress to find the $5 billion for his border wall.
I may declare a national emergency dependent on what's going to happen over the next few days.
Congressional Democrats have refused to give him any new money, and they're skeptical of his latest idea to use Pentagon funds through an emergency declaration.
I think the president would be wide open to a court challenge saying, where's the emergency? But beyond that, this would be a terrible use of Department of Defense dollars.
As negotiations enter a second week, the White House has so far only offered minor concessions.
They don't like concrete, so we'll give them steel. Steel is fine.
And if he has to give up a concrete wall and replace it with a steel fence in order to do that, so that Democrats can say, see, he's not building a wall anymore.
Newly empowered House Democrats are expected to pass individual bills this week to reopen various agencies.
We need to open up government and then negotiate, not the other way around.
A handful of Senate Republicans now say it's time to follow suit. Maine's Susan Collins is one of them.
Well, I can't speak for Senator McConnell, but I would like to see him bring the House-passed bills to the Senate floor.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said he won't bring any bill to a vote without the president's support. Mark Liverman, CBS News.
Now, about 800,000 federal employees have been furloughed or working without pay since that shutdown began on December 22nd. If it isn't resolved by Friday, they'll miss another week's paycheck. Now, there are some reports that TSA workers who've been working without pay are calling out sick at a slightly higher rate since the shutdown began. If that continues, it could spell trouble for the nation's airports. Also, reports out of the Internal Revenue Service, the possibility of returns, your income tax returns not coming in because that branch of the IRS not currently working as well. So more to follow on that.
Everything just pushed back.
Absolutely true.
So,
Matt's working though. He hasn't.
Yes, Matt's nonstop.
Always.
Yeah.
Temperatures today not bad. Just look into the mining city, watching for a little bit of snow to fly, mainly areas west of the divide. You look at the area temperatures, we're into the 20s and 30s pretty much across the board. I do expect to see snow showers for the first part of the day. As you get into the afternoon and evening, our skies will begin to clear. Don't look for a big stretch in temperatures, but our wind will be picking up. We'll be talking about that and the impacts you'll have for your evening commute. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Just a devastating story to pass on for you here. A Michigan mosque is mourning a family of 5 that was killed in an alleged drunk driving accident in Kentucky. Issam and Rima Abbas were driving back from Florida with their 3 children in the car.
Police say 41-year-old Joy Lee Bailey entered the northbound lanes of I-75, traveling southbound, hitting the family's SUV head-on. The Abbas SUV caught fire after that crash. Ali Hoxie has more.
We don't know how to feel. We don't know how to express it.
Hassan Abbas is the great uncle of Issam Abbas. Tonight, he and others packed into the Islamic Center of America to remember the Abbas family.
See, this tragedy is not only for us now, for the family. It's for the whole community and for the humanity too, because anybody can hear about this tragedy, he's going to feel it.
Issam Abbas was an attorney and a real estate agent in the community. Rima Abbas was a family doctor working for Beaumont Medical Center with her own practice in Garden City. They had 3 children, 14-year-old Ali Abbas, 13-year-old Isabel Abbas, and 7-year-old Giselle Abbas. Law enforcement in Kentucky say all 5 died when a drunk driver hit them going the wrong way on I-75.
When you drink and drive, you're out of control. You don't know what you're doing. you put people's life in jeopardy.
The Abbas family is well known in the Islamic community. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib also knew the family and was in attendance at the mosque tonight, listening to words of wisdom from religious leaders.
We have to accept this is the work of God. We don't know. But God, subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe that this family went to another world, that they are going to remain alive. We believe that death is not the termination.
Tonight is just the start of a week full of prayer and tears for people who loved the Abbas family.
You're going to hold your tears much as you can, but finally your tears are going to be as stronger than you. It's going to come out.
6:34 now. Senator Steve Daines says he has secured funding to keep important National Park Service facilities open during the government shutdown. In a letter to the acting Secretary of the Interior, Daines urged funding to critical national park services. After receiving Daines' letter, the acting Secretary of the Interior ordered the Park Service to use funds from fees collected from park visitors to help keep certain essential park services up and running. In a statement, Senator Daines said, quote, "Our community should not be in danger as a result of political games going on in Washington, D.C. I'm glad to see the Department of Interior will fund these critical programs while the government is shut down, supporting those in Montana's gateway communities and protecting our national parks," end quote. Now, the National Parks Conservation Association opposes the use of visitor fees to maintain essential services. The influential group says that money is reserved for future projects, and using it in this way will make addressing the infrastructure backlog at parks even more difficult. Senator Daines has not responded to the association, but does say he will not accept a salary as long as the partial government shutdown remains in effect.
Now, while Steve Daines is looking for park funding, some Montana residents are stepping up to make sure Yellowstone National Park stays clean and open for business right now. MTN's John Shearer followed a volunteer cleanup crew in the northern part of the park and shows how they spent their Sunday.
This heated bathroom here at Mammoth has been closed since the shutdown began, but just a little ways up the road, there's an outhouse that's open. And while it might be a little chilly, this outhouse is practically spotless right now.
The lids, the seat, and any of the handrails.
About 30 volunteers met at a convenience store in Gardner's Sunday morning to fan out across the northern part of the park. It was all organized by local businessman Chuck Tanner.
If the government shutdown continues, we'll just make it a thing we do every week. We got a lot of good people in this town, and who knows, it might even be a little fun.
Did he say cleaning toilets would be fun?
I don't like cleaning my bathroom, but we can get this one taken care of, all right?
Garbage bags and rubber gloves were handed out, and the volunteers stepped up.
We love Yellowstone National Park, and we feel being able to do anything to maintain the beauty of it and making sure that people can, enjoy the park for years and years to come, and her kids.
For us, we're most appreciative of that, and we thank you and thank everybody for doing that.
Besides picking up the garbage and wiping down surfaces with disinfectant, the day's effort even included cleaning graffiti off a bathroom wall.
That's one less thing for people to have to see when they come in.
Tanner, like most of the people who live near the park, has a stake in keeping it open.
Their crowds are down, obviously, because a lot of people think the park's not even accessible. But for the most part, it's business as usual. And people are, they're doing their cross-country skiing. A lot of photographers, a lot of just people getting away for the holiday season.
We come here a lot, many times, and the fee to come here is so minimal that we just feel we should give back.
And when the work was finished, Tanner treated the group to free pizza and drinks at his tavern.
And while there are tales of filthy toilets, even damage in some national parks, here in Yellowstone, the people doing the cleanup right now say that's not the case. They say visitors here are treating the park with respect. In Yellowstone, I'm John Shearer for MTN News.
Xanterra, which runs restaurants, hotels, and other businesses in the park, is also covering some of the costs of keeping some of those services running during the shutdown. It makes me so happy to see that people are coming together like that. It's such a bummer that it has to happen, and people have to spend their Sunday cleaning up toilets. But maybe some of the cleanest toilets that they've ever had. I mean, they're right up there.
Montana can-do attitude.
Absolutely.
We're just going to get it done.
Certainly.
So that's how this goes. Speaking of, let's hope this group of people who are going to be gathering today. Today, by the way, Montana's 2019 legislature opens at the state capitol.
And MTN's chief political reporter, Mike Dennison, will be there, of course, to give us a quick rundown And here's what lawmakers are facing this week and for the rest of the session.
Montana's 150 lawmakers will be sworn in at noon today here in the House chambers. As far as formal activity, that's about it on this opening day. But one of the first controversial things this week is a possible change in the House rules. The main disagreement is over how many votes are needed to remove a bill from a House committee, a simple majority of 51 members, or the current rule that says a supermajority of at least 60 votes. Democrats and a group of Republican moderates say it should be only 51, thus making it harder for GOP leadership to kill certain bills they don't like, even though those bills may be supported by a majority of the House. Republican House leaders have been meeting with GOP moderates to see if they can work out a compromise. Votes on the House rules should happen this week, maybe even as early as today. Senate President Scott Sales acknowledges there's a split in the Republican Party between conservatives and moderates, but told us recently he's not that worried about it.
Republicans, we agree on more than we disagree. We're going to try to focus on the things that we agree on, which is taxes, living within our means.
Republicans control majorities in both the House and Senate, but the governor is a Democrat, Steve Bullock, which means compromise will have to occur this session if either side of the political aisle wants to get things done. Tops on the agenda is the future of Montana's Medicaid expansion program, which brings more than $500 million of federal money into the state each year and provides coverage to 100,000 low-income Montanans. It's set to expire in July. Most Republicans want to modify the program, while Bullock says it should be extended as is. Lawmakers also will be adjusting Bullock's proposed $10 billion two-year state budget and deciding whether to approve any of his proposed tax increases on tobacco, liquor, rental cars, and motels. We'll also see debate and action on infrastructure funds, drug policy, and education funding. It won't be long until lawmakers are putting in some long hours, and then it's 90 working days until the finish line in early May. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And of course, MTN News will be bringing you full coverage of the session over the next 4 months.
That's true.
You can count on that.
That's
There's
true.
no doubt. It is time for a quick break. When we do come back, we look at the relationship between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Trump's administration is looking for locations for a second summit meeting between those two leaders.
We'll have that story after the break, but first let's check in with Nora O'Donnell, see what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning, and ahead here on CBS This Morning, Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai is here in Studio 57. She'll reveal personal stories about visiting refugee camps and the immigrant experience. Plus, only on CBS This Morning, British Army Captain Lou Rudd tells us what it took to complete his historic 925-mile journey across Antarctica without any help. The news is back in the morning. We'll see you right at 7.